Hello everybody and welcome to Ian's Bricks. My name is Ian. So today I'm going to be talking about the Bournemouth Brick Festival that was last weekend. I went to the Brick Festival to sell some of my Lego investments, and I have to say it was a very successful day. It was a long day, but these Brick Festivals always are a long day, but I had a really good time. I had a couple of people helping me, my partner Anthony and also a friend from work, Suzanne, came to help as well, and I really needed both of their help this time because it was just so busy, so I just really want to talk about how the day went, how sort of the day panned out, and also going to be talking about some of the sets that I actually managed to sell, how much I sold them for as well, which of course a lot of people are interested in. So the event itself was held at the Bournemouth International Centre, which is sort of a purpose-built venue really. They have a lot of concerts there, pop concerts, things like that, so the hall was quite a large hall. I had to get there fairly early, but because I only live half an hour away, it was a nice short drive. We could get in from 7:30. A little bit of an issue with unpacking at the venue. There is an unloading area which I wasn't aware of, but there's also like a car park. It's a general car park for the general public, anybody can use it, but there was like a lower section which is near to where the entrance is, we sort of signed in and everything like that, and were told that we had 20 minutes to unload the car. There were cameras around and things like that, so I had to be quite quick. So literally I just dumped all my Lego out of the car, just straight into the hall. I left it there, and then I had to then go and park the car in the car park. Now the car park itself was very expensive. It cost me £20 to park there for the day, and I think the reason why it's so expensive is because it's right next to Bournemouth sort of centre really, the beach and the pier, and so most people that were going there that day, which just happened to be a really hot sunny day as well, were sort of parking there to spend the day at the beach rather than going to the actual centre. Apparently parking and traffic in the area during the entire day was pretty horrendous, but that time of the morning it was actually quite calm, quite quiet, and I was able to get in, get a space and everything quite easily. So that was the only downside, the cost of the actual parking. Once I was in the venue, nice big venue, they did have air conditioning, although it did get pretty hot in there as the day went on. There was definitely air conditioning working, and we needed it because it was a pretty hot day, probably the hottest day of the year, which is unusual for September here in the UK, but that just happens to be what it was at that particular day. So I managed to sort of set up my tables, and I got a little bit of help with that, and I've actually bought more sets with me for this particular Lego fair. Just my friend Suzanne took her car, and I put some sets in her car, so I was able to have more stock with me this time, which was actually really good. Once the table was set up, I think it looked pretty good. I got a photo taken of me there, so yeah, really nice how it all looked out. I had all my sets in, most of them in plastic. The larger sets I wasn't able to, and I got all my prices laid out. So I do like to have prices on display when I go to these brick festivals, because for me, if I was at a brick festival or any kind of thing, I like to know how much things cost. I'm not the type of person that likes to go. I actually get put off if there are things without prices on there. So I know some people like to do that, some people like not to have prices and to barter. For me, A, I just haven't got time, B, I don't want to, and that's not really how I like to sell, so I like to have all my prices on. Anyway, so the doors opened at 10 o'clock, and it was just really busy from the off. I mean, particularly the first 2 hours for me were just non-stop. I had one or two little issues with the card machine, and it wasn't just me as well. It wasn't that there was a problem too much with the signal. The signal wasn't great, but it was okay. But the actual sum-up card readers, and I know some of the other sellers as well, had a few issues with their card readers doing updates and things like that. So there were a couple of instances where people had to wait a little bit longer. One guy actually ended up paying by bank transfer, which I don't mind doing too much. Don't like to do it all the time, but as a one-off it was kind of worth doing because he'd been waiting for quite a while. So thank you for that guy for doing that bank transfer. But the rest of them, a lot of people pay by cash, which is fine, and then everybody else seemed to pay by card. So I say the first 2 hours were really busy. And even then, as the sort of afternoon went on, it was still quite busy. And by the end of the day, it did quieten down. It finished at 4 o'clock, which is a little bit earlier than normally these brick festivals. Yeah, by the last hour, it was pretty quiet. Just one or two people milling around, and it wasn't too bad. What was interesting as well, next door to our event was a Comic Con, and we had quite a few of the people that all got dressed up in their Star Wars gear and things. Some of the costumes were amazing. They actually came in from the Comic Con, had a wander around the Lego fair as well. So it was really nice that they were able to do that. There were like people getting photos taken with scout troopers and things like that, stormtroopers. So it was really good fun to see all of those people all dressed up, which was really nice. So yeah, the event itself was really good. I say thank you to all the organisers of Brick Festival, because they do a lot of work behind the scenes, have a lot of volunteers at these events as well, and it all went pretty smoothly. I say one or two issues with the card reader, but the venue itself was very good. It was a big venue, nice and lots of space. The people from the Brick Festival do come round during the day, check that you're all right, check everything's going okay, have a bit of a chat, which is always nice of them to do. So thank you to that. And one thing they do as well, which I really appreciate, is they give you one of these little bricks here. So every time you go to one of these brick festivals, you get one of these bricks. I've got about 5 or 6 of these now, I think. I'm probably going to start taking them with me to these brick festivals. I'll stack them up and make a little display of them all together. But they're really nice to get those. So I always appreciate getting those. So thank you, Brick Festival. Do keep doing these, because I think they're really good. So what sets did I take? What sets did I sell? So in total, of a box set, so what I consider a box set, and all my sets are sealed and new as well. So box sets can be anything from a sort of a small free gift with purchase, or just a small city set, sort of that size, to sort of a huge box. I think the biggest thing I had was the Disney Castle, and that is a really large box. So anything in between as well. So most of my sets were sort of smaller to medium size, but I did take some larger sets. So in total, I took 136 boxed sets, and of those 136, I sold 95 of them, which I think is really good going. It does mean that I had 41 left, but that's fine, because you always expect to have something left at the end of the day. And I say I did take more sets with me this time, so I was expecting to bring a few back with me, which is okay. And those sets I'll be able to just take with me to the next Lego fair, whenever that is. What else did I do? I also took some poly bags as well. I don't think I counted how many poly bags I took. I did quite a lot of poly bags, and there were some multiples of some of them as well. But in total, I sold 29 poly bags. Not my biggest thing, but it's always nice to have a decent sort of amount of poly bags to take with you, just as sort of something else to people to browse through and look through. I think did I do a total on these? No, I didn't do a total on the poly bags. But yes, I sold some multiples as well. I had some sort of special poly bags as well that I take with me, and multiples of those, so they're always quite nice to at least sell a few of those. Back to the box sets. So of those 136 box sets, 95 of which I sold, I'll go through some of the larger items that I sold. So I sold, I had a VW Camper 10220. I actually had 2 of those, and I sold both of them, which was amazing. I sold them for £145. Not a bad price. I probably originally paid about £80 for those back in the day, so they've taken a while to increase in value, but they certainly sold, which was good. I also sold quite a big set, 10247, the Ferris wheel, and I sold that for £280. Again, that was a decent amount of profit in that one for me. I also sold 10258, the London bus, only £125 for this one, sorry. They really haven't gone up an awful lot in value. They're from 2017. They retired a couple of years ago. They're just not really increasing in value an awful lot. So only a small profit on that one, but still nice to be able to sell that on. I can free that money up and use that at a later date. Another set I sold was 21309. That's the Ideas Saturn 5, and that's the original Saturn 5. So I bought a couple of these back in the day, and that's before they then re-released the set, rather annoyingly. So again, I sold it for £180, so a reasonable amount of profit on that. Not quite double my price on that. I think they had a recommended retail price of £110, so I made a decent profit on there. But yeah, I've been hanging on to that for quite a while. Other large sets I sold, there was the 2110, the Land Rover Defender, the Technic. I sold that for £190. I can't remember what the retail price for this was, probably about 160, 170, so not much above that, but I actually managed to get a really good deal on that back in the day. I'd held on to that for a couple of years, slightly damaged box as well, which I sort of lowered the price for that, but yes, really good to see that selling. I tend not to buy too many Technic sets, but that set I did actually really like, so nice to sell that on for a decent profit, certainly more than double my money on that, which is good. I also sold 60197, the City Train. Sold that for £99. Not a huge profit on that one. I think trains, yeah, the City Trains don't tend to go too well. I've had a couple of them which I've sold recently, and they've sort of struggled to go at previous fairs. What was interesting was the guy that bought it from me said that I was the only, from what he could see, I was the only person that was selling an actual proper full train set at the Lego fair, so that maybe went in my favour. So sold that for a small profit, and I also sold my big set 71040, the Disney Castle. I sold it for £315, not much above the recommended retail price, but the reason I wanted to sell this on is just because Lego have now released another Disney Castle, which is slightly higher in price, but that really does sort of stunt the fact that this particular set probably won't increase in value too much whilst there's that other Lego Disney Castle on sale at the moment, and that castle's probably going to be on sale like the old one for 4 or 5 years maybe. So I thought it was a good opportunity to sell that on for a very, very small profit, I admit, but I've managed to free that money up now. I can probably buy other things with that, those freed up funds. Two of my most successful sales were my helmets. 75274, I had the TIE Fighter helmet. I originally bought that for £55. I sold that for £260. So £205 profit, that's a decent profit. Look, the TIE Fighter helmets are just one of those things. They're just a bit of a one-off. Nothing really, not very often you get sets like that that increase so much in value. It's only been retired for a couple of years. That was my last one. I only ever bought 2 of those, and I've sold both of them now, so that's my last one of those. So nice to sell that on for a decent profit. And my Stormtrooper helmet, 75276, I bought that for a much discounted price. I think it was about £34. I sold it for £160, so again £136 profit. So again, a really decent profit on that. Again, that was my last one of those. I think I bought 3 of those, so at least I made some money on these helmets. I would have liked to have bought more, but that's one of those hindsight things. I also sold 75316, the Star Wars Mandalorian Starfighter. So this was had a recommended retail price at the time when it was out of £60, and I think it only retired last year, and I sold that for £105. So I thought that was a decent price to sell that particular set after such a short period of time. I also sell 75980, Harry Potter Attack at the Burrow. Again, this is a set that really hasn't increased in price that much. It only retired last year, so it hasn't had a lot of time to increase in price. Recommended retail price on that one was £90, and I got £120 for it. So only a small profit. Again, it's quite a big set. I've got a few of them, so I don't mind. I just wanted something decent to sort of take with me, really, that had a little bit of a profit, freed up some more space. So I was okay selling that for a small profit. And then the final 2 larger sets I think that I sold was 76905, the Speed Champions Ford GT Bronco R set. So this is a set, so a smaller box this one, but I actually sold this for £99, and that had a recommended retail price of £44.99, and that only retired at the end of last year. I think it was a Lego exclusive at the time, so it was quite difficult to get hold of. So I more than doubled my money on that in less than a year after I bought it. So that's always a positive for something like that. And I also sold 77942, the Fiat 500, but the blue colour. And again, I think I bought that at retail at £75, but managed to sell it for £140. So sort of nearly quite doubling my money, but not quite, but still a decent profit on that. One thing I will say about all of the sets that I sold is I do take quite a lot of the free gifts with purchase. So whenever I buy from Lego.com or from Lego stores, I'll normally try and buy something and get either 1 or 2 free gifts with purchase. And these gifts with purchase just tend to be really, really popular. For me, I class them as a zero buy-in, so they have sort of no sort of buy-in value, but they just sell really, really well. So I think of all the sets that I've got some notes somewhere, and I've forgotten where I put them There we go. I took a total of 53 box sets, which were gifts with purchase. That's quite a lot. So nearly half of my stock that I took were free gifts with purchase, and in total I sold 41 of them, and they sort of ranged in price from everything from the small child's amusement park, which I think I had at £9, and the sandwich shops and the kids adventure pirate playgrounds, I think I had those both at £12, all the way up to, I think the biggest one that I sold, just checking my notes here, I sold the Death Star 2 promo for £40. I think I had some higher priced ones as well, like the Harry Potter ones, but they actually didn't sell some of my Harry Potter ones. Maybe I had them on too high, who knows. But there were quite a few multiples in there as well. Things like the moving truck, I had 2 of those and sold both of them. The Easter basket, they had 2 of those. 3 flower pots. Now the flower pots were interesting. I sold them for £26. I took 3 of them with me. This guy bought one of them that was on the table, and obviously the rest of them I'd kept behind the table. So I said to my friend Suzanne, I said, "Oh, can you get get one of those acts? I've got a duplicate of those." And he says, "Oh, have you got another one of those? I'll buy that off you." And I said, "Oh, I've actually got 3." And he says, "Well, I'll have all 3 then." So he literally went from buying one of these flower pots to buying all 3. And they're £26 each. Not a bad price for those. They were very popular. After I'd sold that, I had quite a few people asking me if I had any flower pots left. And unfortunately, I had to tell them no, but I do know that some of the other sellers in the auditorium had some flower pots as well. So yes, it was nice to be able to take some of the sets in multiple as well and get a decent price for some of them. So yeah, this is why when you probably see me do my Lego hauls, sometimes I will pay full price for some of my Lego, but of course I'm buying these gifts with purchase. If I'm getting 20, 30, maybe £40 for some of these decent gifts with purchases, then that for me is all profit. And these sets do really well at these fairs, I think, because they're quite a smallish size as well, and hopefully I get my pricing right on them as well. So I think that's probably why they do quite well. I do compare my prices to some of the other sellers, and I have to say I do tend to be fairly competitive with a lot of people, because at the end of the day I want to sell my Lego. The whole point of me doing this Lego investing is to make some money from it, but also I want to sell things as well. And I always sort of try and be reasonable. I look at eBay sold prices to sort of get an idea of what things are going to sell for. And sometimes I get it wrong, sometimes I get it right, who knows. But I think ultimately at the end of the day, if I'm happy with what I'm selling something for, that's fine. You do get one or two people coming to me and bartering, which I don't mind, but more often than not, because the prices are there, people will just actually pay it. And it's quite a quick sale sometimes. People say, "I want that, there's the money, put it in a bag," and that's it, they're off. And it can be quite a quick sale sometimes. So it's nice to be able to have, and a couple of people actually did tell me as well that they did find that my prices quite reasonable compared to a lot of other stalls as well within the auditorium. Look, I mean, you can sell something what you want. People are only going to pay what they want to pay for it. So I'm quite happy really with how I did overall. I'm not going to tell you exactly how much I made total. I don't really like to do that, but yes, I will say that it was my most successful Lego Brick Festival ever. It obviously helped that I had more sets to be able to take with me, and certainly there was a decent amount of profit in there for me as well. So even with the cost of the tables, which I think at the time there were £50 for each table, I had 2 of those, and £20 for the backing table, but obviously there's other costs as well. There was the parking costs for the day. The transport wasn't too bad for that particular day because I didn't have too far to travel, but yeah, so there were a few costs as well involved, and obviously my card machine as well. Every payment I take on my SumUp card reader, and I think I took around about 3/4 of all of my payments on the card reader, maybe about a third to a quarter were all by card. So these card readers are, if you don't have a card reader and you're taking cash, you're probably going to lose out on a lot of money, because a lot of people just don't have that amount of cash, and especially when you're charging large sums for some of the larger sets that I have, I wouldn't expect people to carry that amount of money around. So I pay 1.69% on all of my card charges. So there were some costs involved in that, but actually they're not not too bad, and ultimately you don't mind, you just sort of swallow those costs up in the prices of this set that you sell. Anyway, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about, me rabbiting on for 20 minutes, half an hour. If you've got to the end of the video, thank you very much for watching. It's much appreciated. If you do ever get a chance to go to a brick festival, whether it's either as a seller, which I have to say can be quite difficult now because these brick festivals are getting very popular. I think most of the 2024 events that have been released already have actually already sold out in the UK. I think there will be some more events coming up, but I'm going to have to keep my finger poised on my mouse to get in on these festivals in the future, because they are very, very popular. And even if you're just somebody that wants to have a look around, look at some of the models, because it's not just all about Lego sellers, there are models there for people to see as well, and also that you can buy some Lego when you're there and you bump into people and have a chat to people. So they're really nice events to go to. They're very well run, very well organised, and if you do manage to get to one, I say if you're based in the UK, they're all over the UK, all the way sort of from Carlisle to the north, all the way down to Plymouth in the south. So they really are starting to cover the whole country now. So keep an eye out, have a look at the Brick Festival website. They've got a Facebook page as well. Obviously, if you're outside of the UK, I'm sure there are other companies that do their own Lego fairs and things like that. So keep an eye out in local media, Facebook, things like that, and I'm sure you'll be able to find some kind of Lego fairs to go to either as a buyer or as a trader as well. They're definitely worth it. I really enjoy the days there. They're long days, hard work, but very, very rewarding, and I certainly will be doing more of these in the future. My next one, if you are interested, will be at Weston-super-Mare, and that's on the 5th of November. So I've got a month and a half, 2 months to prepare myself for that. But in the meantime, that's pretty much it for now. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time in the next video. Take care for now. Bye.